Having headlines here in France. Of that, I'm joined on set by Florence Filomeno.
Hi,
Good morning. And you're going to start with this news in France that unemployment is higher than we were expecting.
That's
it's dominating
right.
headlines.
It's dominating the headlines today. It's really the big story because of those unemployment figures that Stephen was telling us about. Unemployment, well, it increased in December. This was not what the president had promised. So Le Parisien says that Hollande lost his bet because he had bet that he was going to be able to turn around that unemployment curve before the end of the year, but he didn't reach that deadline. This D-Day didn't really work out for the French president, according to Le Parisien today. And on top of that, unemployment is really breaking all records. So not only did he not manage to stabilize unemployment, it's reaching huge records. 2013 was a record year with 3.3 million job seekers. So none of this is really much of a surprise, according to a lot of the French papers, but it's a big failure for Hollande. Le Parisien inside says that really he broke a promise that he made to French people, and a lot of the papers are wondering why on earth did he make this promise and where did this promise come from. So Aujourd'hui en France tells us more. He made this promise on September 9th, 2012, so over a year ago, when he was giving an interview on TV. He was full of optimism and said, you'll see in a year unemployment will turn around. A lot of people say that the government, by saying this, was hoping for some sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, a miracle, and it tried to twist and turn the figures to make it seem like it was going to work out. But Le Parisien says statistics don't lie, and so the government really has to face reality. It has a chance now to put the ball in the businesses' camp.
Right, and that's what Le Figaro is also focusing on as well, isn't it? Saying it's time to give businesses a chance.
That's right. This is what Le Figaro is saying in their editorial. They say, we haven't tried everything yet. It's time for François Hollande and his government to take a cold, hard look at reality, to see how things really are and not how they want them to be. And Le Figaro says the reason that unemployment is so high is because businesses aren't hiring. And the reason they're not hiring is because of a hostile environment, whether it's a complicated and a rigid administration or very high labor costs. It's really time for the government to focus on these pro-business policies that they've been talking about, to boost competitiveness and to spark job creation this way. And Le Figaro says that if Hollande really wants to turn this unemployment curve around, well, he has to make the system more flexible.
Right, and it's also what the left-leaning papers are focusing on too, isn't it?
That's right. They're also critical of the government, but for different reasons than the right. Let's look at L'Humanité, the communist paper that says we're going straight into the wall. So as I said, it's critical of the government, but for them, it's because of these pro-business measures that there's so much unemployment. It says that the government has already been doing all sorts of things to boost competitiveness, and it's not working. So L'Humanité in its editorial says despite these failed policies, Hollande is continuing in this downward spiral. But it's interesting to note that Libération is a little bit less pessimistic. It's the only paper today that's a little bit more optimistic about things. On the front page, it says that Hollande, well, yes, he has his work cut out for him, but it's not impossible. And inside, Libération says, sure, he didn't manage to turn around unemployment, but he tried. So good thing for Hollande for trying, and he almost made it. But they point out that, he really needs to change his strategy like he said he's going to do it. 2013 was a flop, but 2014 could be the year when things turn around. But 20 Minutes tends to disagree and says this is going to be an uphill battle. It says that at best, unemployment will stabilize this coming year.
All right, well, let's hope Libération's optimism turns out to be right. Let's move on now, and Le Parisien is focusing on a different story, and that's two French teenagers who went to Syria to join a jihadist group.
That's right. Le Parisien tells us all about them. They're known as Y and A, so just the first letters of their names. 15 and 16 years old from Toulouse. Now, 20 days after they disappeared, they were found in Turkey, safe and sound. So Aujourd'hui en France tells us all about how they got there and how they're going to maybe be charged with terrorism when they get back to France.
All right, and just quickly, you're going to finish with some sports news.
That's right. Now, if all this news of the unemployment figures are getting you depressed, well, L'Équipe, the sports daily, says at least we're great in sports. It says who's the best. So very, impressive photo there on the front page of L'Équipe. Why is L'Équipe saying this? Well, it's because the handball team won the European Championship just 4 months after the French basketball team won the European Championship. So L'Équipe says we're great at team sports. Number one in Europe, according to their ranking. Now, you might wonder about the football team. Well, L'Équipe says there's all sorts of chance at the World Cup. We'll see.
Right, giving themselves some kudos there. Thanks very much for that, François Amino. We're going to take a short break, but stay with us. Coming up, we'll be asking if French President François Hollande is the man to smooth over French-Turkish relations after years of tensions. Our correspondents in Istanbul have been finding out. They report in our Focus segment coming up in just a few minutes.